We have a little bit of breaking news. Something I was planning on talking about on today's show was the fact that Trump, ever since Ukraine, delivered a catastrophic blow, and that's not just even just a YouTube title, it's also real, to Russia. Trump just went silent on the issue. Silent. And he stopped appearing publicly. He just kind of vanished. And it was very bizarre. Well, then he made an announcement about a call that I didn't know was on the record or on the schedule with Putin in the wake of this. So what I'm talking about, I won't go through all the details again, but the attacks that were planned for, I think, 18 months by Ukraine either crippled or outright destroyed more than 40% of Russia's bombers. That's mind-blowing with drones, and very successful, humiliating for Russia. And Trump, who normally is pontificating on everything, just zip, and wasn't really showing up anywhere either. And I think it's because another precedent would lead to questions about this, would lead to questions about Elon, and Trump does not. That's the other thing. Two things he's been silent on. This attack against Russia that was very successful by Ukraine, devastating for Russia, but proof that this is not headed toward lasting peace, not because of Ukraine, but because of Russia. And Ukraine has to continue fighting in the meanwhile while Russia continues their invasion. But number two, Trump has not said a word about Elon, even though Elon has been railing against the beautiful bill, as Trump calls it, big beautiful bill. So before getting to Trump's announcement about this surprising call he had with Putin and how for the first time he seems to be admitting, I don't know where this is going. Because normally he comes out of these meetings and says, it was so productive. They've agreed to peace, sort of. Trust me, it's around the corner. But now he went, I don't think we're headed towards peace. Oh, gosh. But remember that just yesterday we talked about Levitt getting asked about Trump. Why hasn't he reacted to this successful operation by Ukraine?
Please.
Sure, go ahead.
On Ukraine, it's been a couple of days since Ukraine made that audacious drone strike on Russian airfields. The president hasn't said a word about it, and usually he's not shy about making his thoughts known on the war. Well, yeah, it's not bad. On the war or any other subject. What have you heard from him on this audacious drone strike? Is he surprised? He said that Zelensky didn't have the cards when they met in the Oval Office a few months back. Does Zelensky possibly have some cards that the president hadn't known about?
Look, the president's thinking on the Russia-Ukraine war as it stands, I spoke to him about it just this morning, is he remains positive at the progress that we've seen. Again, he urged both leaders to sit down and talk directly with one another, and they did that. Russia handed over a memorandum of peace or a peace.
And I discussed the absurdity of that and how it was just all the same nonsense that got us further away from peace. But then Trump announced this. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. Both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. Him admitting that is crazy because every other time we've covered it in breaking news segments like this, Putin comes out and says, we are so excited to announce that after this 2-hour phone call, a lot of progress has been made. And I am dedicating myself to no longer striking energy infrastructure. And then he strikes a bunch of energy infrastructure. And that's been the cycle we've been in. And now Trump's admitting, I don't know. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. I saw someone, I think Aaron Rupar, say, it's crazy how Trump is framing this as, I got on the phone with Putin after the horrible terror attack against Russia, and he has to respond. That's not what this is at all. First of all, operationally, militarily, this is how you should do. You going after the planes, their bombing ability, not just mass slaughtering people like Putin does. And then number two, this is all in self-defense. They're just supposed to continue allowing themselves to be bombed? No. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussion with Iran and that he can help, perhaps, be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. So the least optimistic post we've seen from Trump in the wake of one of these calls, usually this whole scenario is bizarre, like I told you. Usually these are hyped up. We're going to have a call. It's going to be great. It was 2 hours. It was brilliant. And now that's not happening. As we continue through this segment, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. Speaking of another show I'm sure many of you appreciate, friend of the show, David Pakman, brought up this video was titled Trump Missing for Days. Where is he? What I was referencing, which is since this attack by Ukraine and since Elon started going wild against Trump's bill, Trump's just vanished.
Donald Trump has had zero official public engagements as president since Ukraine launched this drone strike into Russia, an attack that caught Trump off guard. He didn't know about it till it happened. We talked about that earlier. And other than posting to Truth Central, which we'll look at in a moment, and playing golf, Trump has had no official public events since, raising the questions of what is Trump doing? Where is he? And why isn't he being seen publicly? Now, I think it's important to mention, I am not alleging that Trump is dead or in the hospital or anything like that, although I do kind of want to circle back.
He is. He's a robot. They've replaced Trump with a clone. David, speak the truth. Speak it. Trump's a clone now. Speak it. I've had a good friendship with David, but I think it's over. He refuses to tell you the truth about Trump.
Back to that for reasons you can probably guess. But over the weekend, we've seen Trump with nothing on his schedule. One day it was just golfing. Monday, yesterday, his only item that was listed on his official schedule was a private lunch with Vice President J.D. Vance. Today, Tuesday, June 3rd, nothing on Trump's schedule. You can look at his schedule each day. Nothing, no public events scheduled at all. So this is not just a quiet day or a quiet half day. This is now becoming a pattern. 3 straight days, the president of the United States.
Yeah, you might say, what about, if you're MAGA, you say, what about Biden? 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 What about, turn to a little song. Listen, folks, what about Biden? What about Biden? Folks, what about Biden? You know, something like that, I think, is how you would respond. Yes, Biden didn't engage with the press as much as Trump does. Is it good that Trump engaged with the press when he lies a bunch? I like whenever presidents engage with the press more. I wish Biden engaged with the press more. I know why he didn't. But if you're lying the whole time, or you don't know whenever you give answers, it doesn't really help to give us any more insight or anything. Or every time you speak, you make a new announcement that then you'll reverse the next day about tariffs. It's not great. I don't love it. I can't give you the kudos that maybe MAGA thinks that Trump deserves. But it is particularly notable how quiet Trump has been, other than posting on social media in the last few days, given major events happening, and that he does normally come out more publicly, more consistently. And Pakman referenced that Trump golfed, but I thought he wasn't going to.
I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf.
Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there. He's playing so much golf, he doesn't have enough time.
I just want to stay in the White House and work my ass off.
He played more golf last year than Tiger Woods. I'm not going to be playing much golf, believe me. If I win this, I'm not going to be playing much golf.
Oh, he shanked it.
So I guess he is willing to golf. After that devastating attack by Ukraine against Russia, Russian state media was very irritated. They were having a bad day, which sometimes it's hard to tell with these hosts because they always sound and act like they're having a bad day. But I think they were really having a bad day this time.
Ночью мы все следили за тем, что происходило.
Last night, all of us were watching what happened. Well, it's a terrible tragedy. Most importantly, does the world have an idea as to where all of this is going? We see that a world war is inevitable. Listen to that. These sick people. Why did Ukraine even feel the need to strike and devastate 40% of your bombers? Because you keep bombing them. That might be the through line. Because you bomb them, so they don't want you to bomb them, so they take out your bombers. Pretty simple logic. I get that they're Russian state TV. They kind of have to do this, but I do, right. They would probably like fall out of a window and shoot themselves in the back of the head if they did speak the truth. But how does that even make sense in your head? You're invading a different country and then you're like, wait, what? They took out our planes. That's not fair. That is very bad. Sorry, I don't have a Russian. I don't know what very was. So that was that. And Trump's sympathizing with Putin, really. Now, I don't believe that, like, some people act like Putin calls Trump and says, hello, Donald, this is Vladimir. I need you to be quiet about this. It's not that he does that, and it's not that he's the puppet master of Trump, as some people say. It's just that they have this ideological alignment, and Trump looks at people who have authoritarian control and gets a little bit excited down there.
I'm gonna come.
Right. Thank you, Cole. That's what I was hoping was going to happen. That he gets a little bit fun. He gets a little bit frisky whenever he sees authoritarians. And so in that sense, he's scared of Putin because he wants a good relationship with Putin because he likes what Putin stands for, which is vile. But Trump does not help sometimes I think to some person who believes that Putin's calling the shots, right? Which is not the case, but that he controls Trump. Sometimes Trump does things that just make that such an easy conspiracy theory to believe, because Trump literally waited to say anything on Ukraine's historic operation inside Russia that took 18 months of planning until he got on the phone with Putin days later. Like, he had to get Daddy Vladdy's approval before he would speak on it. It's sad. This is the strong guy. It's so sad. MAGA. Share your thoughts in the comments.